we're going to talk about the bad stuff. I need you to tee up for everyone the details of what happened today while I go piss, because I'm going to pee my pants. Tell everyone what happened. I'll be back and I will say whatever I need to say, because we did not talk about Addison yet. So here you go, Cosgrove. I'll be back in a sec. Tee it up for everyone.
Yep. So the thing that we all speculated about over the summer, Calen Addison traded to San Jose Sharks, who, again, I mean, they quite possibly are the worst professional ice hockey team I have ever seen attempt to play professional ice hockey. All that aside, Calen Addison traded the San Jose Sharks for a 5th round pick and Adam Raska. Raska's an intriguing prospect. He's a big kid. He's got some tools. Hasn't really popped off at the junior level or at the AHL level, but like he's a decent enough player that he is. It's possible he's got an NHL future. We'll see what happens with him. Obviously going to pay a lot more attention to him now with him being in Iowa, but pretty not great package. But at the same time, when you look at Calen Addison, benching him for like the second half of the season last year, basically confirming to the entire league that he is a power play guy and there's not a whole lot in there. I thought he played a lot better this year, to be honest. Me personally, I thought there was a lot more to his game this year. Obviously, still making some like really bad plays, bad mishaps in his own zone. And obviously not a guy that you'll ever put on the penalty kill. But I thought he had taken a few decent steps, or at least was progressing. Who knows? Put him with the right fucking D partner, and he might be able to keep his head above water. But they decided to move on. Looking back in hindsight, even if he was making the big step, even if the move didn't happen in the summer, it felt like the writing was on the wall. And today it happened. And then last part of this is that they end up again 5th round pick, and Raska comes in, Addison out, but then they also replace Addison, I guess, by moving a 7th round pick for Zach Bogosian. And with that, we will let Mr. at State of Hoppy give his eulogy. He's got the Calen Addison jersey hanging behind him. A true Addison fan. Wow.
If anyone has the 2, it's bullshit.
Yeah, no, he's number 59 forever. And that clip makes me sick now, by the way, of like
I'm getting all hyped up about it making the team. Yeah, fucking
yeah, that sucked. Yeah. I'll let you go.
I'm sad. That I will say though, there is like a silver lining that he's gonna go somewhere that he's gonna get a ton of opportunity. Like there is no shortage of ice time available in San Jose. And it's going to be a not fun year for him, but hey, at least he's on a beach. And again, he will quarterback their power play. I imagine, that they will put him with notoriously good defenseman, Mark-Edouard Vlasic.
Oh my God.
That is the only way it gets worse than pairing him with John Merrill, which they did for like half of the season so far. So let's break this down. The origins of my fondness for Calen Addison go back to his draft year. And my guy, Jesse Marshall, who I truly like. I love Russo. I love Joe Smith. I think the most captivating writer for me personally is Jesse Marshall. He does a great job. If anyone hasn't paid attention, it's obviously a lot more Pittsburgh Penguins focused, but he does good pieces where a lot of videos incorporated to kind of explain his points and show you and illustrate what's going on. When the Penguins every year didn't have a 1st round pick, they got Calen Addison as a 2nd, and Jesse Marshall's immediate comment was, "This is how you get a 1st round pick without having a 1st round pick." He went off on it. He sold me on it. I watched him after the fact, and I'm like, Damn. I agree. And me being a Penguins fan from a young age, I obviously pull for the Wild. Calm down, people. But man, it was weird to see Zucker get traded for Addison and a pick, because it was like the most conflicting thing. Like, I didn't want Zucker to leave the Wild, didn't want Addison to leave the Penguins, but then it was like the perfect marriage of like both teams got what they needed. Of course, Zucker got hurt, and that wasn't fun. But Calen Addison was exactly what the Minnesota Wild needed. Did not have a power play quarterback. He is a guy that is still very raw, which most casual fans are not aware that defensemen take a lot more time to develop than forwards. And I understand their confusion on that, because we have guys like Makar and Hughes, and of course now on the Wild, Faber, who come in and torch immediately. They are the exception. They are not the rule. You look at Erik Karlsson, you look at Chris Letang, we can go across the league. Most elite defensemen, or guys that came in and actually contended for a Norris Trophy, were not that in their first couple of years in the league. Addison clearly didn't fit the bill of what either Evason or Guerin or both were looking for. And that's evidenced by them saying they couldn't play a specialist. They needed someone reliable. They went out and got even more of a specialist who played worse than Addison in every facet of the game, besides having a harder shot, in John Klingberg. Calen Addison didn't play a full season his rookie year. He then proceeds to put up solid numbers in the first 10 games of the season. There's ups and downs. Defense could have been better. I won't sit here and tell you that he is the best defenseman on the Minnesota Wild, because that was not true. But the people that were screaming that he's the problem, he needs to go, didn't acknowledge that Middleton's played like shit without being with Spurgeon. The fact that John Merrill, super nice guy from everything we see, he has been garbage this year. Addison spent most of his time playing with John Merrill. I am sad that the Wild didn't see his potential and that they thought this was a move that they needed to make. He needs time to develop. He has not even played a full season of regular season games. He came back and put in a ton of work this summer after getting absolutely buried by the team, missing the last 20, 25 games, whatever it was, when they brought in Klingberg and said, until you can play like this, you can't be part of the Minnesota Wild. And, well, we all know how that went. I think Z in particular has talked about the various planets that he's visited during hockey games. I don't know. I'm just sad. I know a lot of Wild fans are cheering, and it just feels wrong to me. He has improved. Anyone that says that he hasn't improved from last year is crazy. Anyone that thinks that I'm trying to herald him as the number one defenseman for the Wild is also crazy, because he's not, but he's decidedly not the worst. I hope that he torches eventually. San Jose, it's going to be tough because it's going to be a long year. But after the kid comes in, works his bag off in the summer, is one of the boys clearly. Anytime you saw a post about the young players all getting together, Addison was always lingering there in the pictures. And he finally gave in and took a reasonable deal so that he could start the year. And this is how they treat him. I think it sucks. I don't get it. I don't support it. But everyone will probably try and victory lap on me here with a 23-year-old defenseman who has not even begun his development. I can't wait to see him prove everyone wrong. And with that, Z, we are no longer covering the Minnesota Wild. We are now a San Jose Sharks podcast. So, fun.
The rebrand.
But no, for real, I hope he gets more opportunity. And that's all I can really say. I think he got very mistreated by the fan base. I will miss him dearly. I hope he thrives elsewhere. And I'm just sad that it isn't with the Pittsburgh Penguins, since the Wild clearly don't value him.
Yeah, and I was like, and I had started talking about this, by the way, while you were gone. Looking back now, I think like even though obviously he signed the deal, he started this year, he had, and like you just said, I was also saying before, like this year, like was it perfect? No. Was it a big improvement? Yup. Did he have a chance? No. My God, like you say, stuck with barrel. My whole thing, like I think looking back now, I think with the way last year ended, the delay in the contract, even though it got done and he had a better start to the year that he had before, I think it was basically a given. He wasn't long for the Minnesota Wild. I thought it would happen at some point. I did not think it would happen at this point in the season.
I did see the writing on the wall essentially with the 5 forward power play. Like that's when I was like, shit, this is on the way. This isn't good. But Rusty AF, thank you for making me laugh for the first time since having to talk through this. How does the Addison trade affect the Leafs? That's just brilliant. I appreciate you.
Speaking of that, Klingberg, they're losing 3-2 to the Senators right now, and he is -3.
Shocked. Glad we brought him in though for the playoffs. He really, really helped the team against the Dallas Stars.
Dude, just listen to just because, and I'll get right back to the Addison thing here in a sec, I swear. After the Marchand Liljegren thing, I just had to listen to Leafs podcast and radio. My God, it is so good. But like one thing they've all talked about is like they're at the point where like he's getting paid for what, 4.5 right now? 1 year, 4.5?
4.5.
Dude, they're like, they can't put him on the ice. There's no situation where he is like, my God, the fact that they turned down that
Reeves
7-year deal
is the second worst contract they have.
It's insane. Like they can't play him. Like he can't play. Like, it's crazy. Like Dallas must be like, oh my God, we almost gave him 7 years, $49 million. But like you said, the writing I think was on the wall. What we always said was, hey, doesn't feel like this is the right time to give up on Calen Addison, but it happened, so it is. And it even we talked about before, it felt like either the only way he was sticking around really past this year was if he somehow magically, after getting benched for fucking 1 million games in a row, had the offseason, came back like a Norris caliber fucking defenseman. It seemed like the writing was always on the wall. It's with the ceiling he has, what he can do, especially on this fucking hockey team. It felt like the wrong time to give up on it. And like, he did have some chances to, I guess, play, but like, not really. I can't.
The real thing though, Z, too, that stings, and we can get back into how he was mistreated. Getting a 5th rounder 3 years from now is just like the most disrespectful thing I could have imagined. They couldn't get a better.
So this is what I was getting to.
Oh my God.
Well, and it's just like unbelievable. And so like that's where I was going here is like, fine. I pretty much accepted that it felt like a sure thing that at some point he would end up getting traded. And most likely before the start of next season. Like I did not see after the way last year went, and then whatever, the offseason, it didn't feel like he was going to be here for very long, but absolutely self-inflicted shit package. Like, I think, because we were talking about he could either be, if you wanted to, like, if you're able to move money, or when you have a little bit more space just in general, he could be part of a package to bring in, a legit center if you still think that they were in desperate need of that or whatever. Or you could get like a mid-round pick, maybe like second, third type. But after eviscerating his trade value and like basically broadcasting to the league that, oh, this guy just plays on the power play, and like we're not even gonna like give him a whole lot more opportunities than that. Who wants him? It's just like self-inflicted, not very good package whatsoever for a kid that has that skill set. Like, people can say what they want about guys that really put up a lot of points in the power play, or majority of their value comes in the power play. Guess what?
It's not
That's
easy
still
to do.
fucking valuable. It's still fucking valuable. Like,
Jared
why do
Spurgeon
you
can't do it.
Jared Spurgeon and Jonas Brodin have been two of the all-around like best defensemen in the NHL. They can't run a fucking power play. They can't do it. And they are some of the best defensemen when they are on their game. Like, they are two of the best defensemen on the planet. And they cannot fucking run a power play. Like, at all. They can't do it. So it's still a valuable piece. And especially when you look at that, like, when you look at their entire crop of defensemen, obviously this year is a bit of an outlier because they've always been such a solid defensive team that this year is like, I still feel like without Spurgeon, Brodin, I am convinced he is nursing something. And then Maryland Golgosse just fell off a cliff or whatever. But like, this is an outlier year for me. But having that group, like Addison was such a solid, like when everything's going as planned, everything's going to plan. Addison was a very valuable piece of that 6-man unit on the back end. Like,
He brought
you've got all the guys.
Mm-hmm.
So very disappointed that even if it was on the writing was on the wall there, I'm just disappointed that it was now. The timing was not good. The both in terms of like this point in the year and after, like, the value disappeared, like it just vanished. So obviously don't get a very attractive package. It's not like you're clearing a ton of cap space. Like, so all in all, like, it sucks. Don't agree with the trade. And like you said, I hope he goes. It just plays this year as well as possible, I guess, for a San Jose Sharks defenseman. I don't really know.
He's going to get time. He's going to get minutes. He's going to probably put up points, but that dash is going to be exponential, and everyone's going to be up in my mentions saying, told you so. And to each
he's
of
already,
them, I'll laugh.
He's already San Jose's like 5th best forward option. I think he's
second best behind Hurdle. But I mean, I don't know. Everyone's already heard me say enough about Addison over the past couple of years. Let's talk about the guy that Bill Guerin decided was fit to replace him, Zach Bogosian. Guy that has definitely had his ups and downs in his career. In a year that was loaded with defensive talent for the top 5 in the Stamkos draft of 2008, Bogosian was definitely the odd man out for like feeling like the wrong pick. He's got cups now. He's had great playoffs. Do we think that he is going to make a big difference for this team given the numbers that we've seen of late? Because they're not great.
Yeah, I mean, they're not great. I don't really, it's not going to be some like major upgrade or anything. You're bringing in a guy that's played a lot of games in the NHL. He's won cups. You had like whatever the bullshit about the experience thing. But in terms of like the level of play, it's not like it's not going to be this isn't a different hockey team now. You just have one less guy to run the power play for you. Well, you don't have one. You don't have a guy. So we'll see what the 5-man unit looks like.
Now you're making Faber play 30 minutes a night. That's the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm not saying he can't do it. It's just, why make him do it when I do think Addison is more equipped to run a power play. And let's be honest, we need Faber to play more important minutes.
Mm-hmm. So,
shout
out in this house. Bottom line, in this house, we love Calen Addison. I hope he has a phenomenal career in San Jose,
or wherever he
winds up.
Yep,
wherever he winds up. I hope he just gets the opportunity that he deserves.
Do we know anything about the other guy that was added in with that bag of pucks?
So I touched on him a little bit. He's a there's a lot of tools there. He's like,
good.
Yeah, he's an intriguing. I think he's 22 now. 22 years old.
Well,
of, like,
by
point
now he
production
should
hasn't
be a
been there
fully
yet,
developed
but
defenseman, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, forward.
Fucking assholes.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's an intriguing in terms of just like the tools. Like he's a big kid, he's got hands, like decent skill. He plays a hard game, relatively speaking. But we'll see. I mean, there's something there. He's played a couple. He's got like a cup of coffee in the NHL already. Obviously now I'll have a closer eye on him in Iowa. I remember watching a decent bit his draft year, like years ago. Being like, oh, this is an intriguing kind of prospect here, but we'll see. I don't know. I don't really know what to expect from Raska now, but as I said, I'll get a better idea because next week we'll be covering Iowa much more extensively. We'll have a full-on deep dive on them, but we'll see what happens with them. I don't know. But it's just not the package that you're hoping for if you're really going to move on from a 23-year-old defenseman who's already shown that he can run an NHL power play.
A right-handed defenseman that can run a power play that is still very raw in talent. I just again, I don't need people to look at him and say, "Oh my God, this kid's sick." But the people that are looking at him and saying he's a bust, he's a loser, trade him, he's the problem, he's why the Wild are losing. I don't even have bad things to say about you. I just feel bad for you, and I'm not going to tell you how to evaluate talent. If you want to look at it that way, good on you. We differ greatly in how we evaluate talent. We'll just say that.
Calen Addison is an incredibly talented hockey player.
He is. So with everything now, does Dumba come back at the deadline, Z?
Hell yeah, bring him back. Let's fucking go.
Him and Zucker.
Vibes would be Can you imagine if that actually happened? You imagine him walking into the locker room? That would be so. I would need. It would be
who is is it a football coach or is it like an owner that walks into the room? He's like, hey, and it goes through all the players, and then everyone just freaks out.
I think it was the UNC basketball coach. I think is that who that was.
Yes, it is. You are right. Oh my God. Yes, good old Roy.
Incredible gift. Incredible.
No, that's what it would be though.
Depending on
what's up, boys?
He would be out. That would be so electric.
So basically,
you
got to cheer for Arizona to not be in playoff contention. Otherwise, it's not happening.